Fit Up Warrior here. I want to talk about the original 13th Amendment to the United States Constitution. See, the current 13th Amendment, it was passed by the Senate on April 8, 1864, and the House on January 31st, 1865. The purpose of it was to abolish slavery and involuntary servitude, except as a punishment for a crime. Don't get me wrong, to a certain degree, that amendment doesn't apply, and I'm going to tell you why. Now, I keep hearing two theories about two different laws involving the 13th Amendment, and we're going to go over both of them. I think one was supposed to supersede the other. So when the first one somehow disappeared, they tried passing the second one. Second one disappeared, and then you get the current one, which is the Anti-Slavery Amendment. Now I'm going to read this version here. This is called the Titles of Nobilities Amendment. If any citizen of the United States shall accept, claim, receive, or retain any title of notability or honor, or shall without consent of Congress accept and retain any present pension, office of emulet of any kind whatever, emperor, king, prince, or foreign power, such person shall cease to be a citizen of the United States, and shall be capable of holding any office or trust or profit under them, or either of them. This would have been a validated argument, because if you're claiming allegiance to a foreign power, let's say the common foreign power in the 1800s at that time was Great Britain. Basically, what this amendment would have done was prevent you from having dual citizenship, and in the process you could not run for any sort of office. What you're seeing here is a piece of documentation involving another version of the 13th Amendment. What this amendment would have been if it was passed, it's pretty simple. If you were in the law practice like a lawyer or an attorney, you could not be president of the United States. You were immediately disqualified just on the simple fact that you were in the practice of law. Now, considering it was 1819 when this supposed law would have been passed, okay? I'm about to give you 9 presidents that it would have impacted. Obviously, John Quincy Adams would have not beaten Andrew Jackson because he would have been disqualified. James K. Polk would not have been president in the 1840s. Abraham Lincoln would have not been president in the Civil War. Maybe James Garfield would have not been assassinated had that law was put into effect. Grover of Cleveland would not be the first president to serve 2 separate terms as United States president. Benjamin Harrison would have never been president of the United States himself. William Howard Taft would have never been president, or as a lot of people say, the heaviest president we ever had. And most certainly, these 2 gentlemen would have never been president. Yes, believe it or not, Richard Nixon was indeed a lawyer, and so was Barack Obama. This law would have heavily impacted the presidents I just brought up. Now, according to one theory that's been floating around, okay, the debate between historians and conspiracy buffs is about an amendment that was almost ratified in 1812 that would have been the 13th Amendment. We know about the real story of the 13th Amendment. It was ratified in 1865 and abolished slavery. Some argue that the Titles of Nobilities Act would have been the death knell for slavery 55 years earlier. But I'm about to explain to you why that was not the case. Now, there's even some debate as to whether it was reattached to the Constitution. It's technically not an amendment. Maybe this is something President Trump or somebody in future administrations actually want to look at. The purpose of this includes several other justifications. Bottom line is, even when running for political office, this law could apply. You know how many political officials would not be able to run if this law was put into effect? They wouldn't like it too much. I'm telling you now, this is currently the 13th Amendment. It involves abolishing slavery. But in some arguments, does it really abolish slavery? Does it just criminate it? does it just limit it? This law is subject to interpretation. There is subject and room for argument to dispute this. At a bare minimum, the titles of nobility in modern day needs to be carefully examined. We have politicians and other people that don't have total loyalty to the United States of America. At a bare minimum, this needs to be examined. And at a bare minimum, it is possible that this very possible amendment may essentially be added to the U.S. Constitution. One possible theory that's going around is that the original 13th Amendment was swiped by a Freemason at some point around 1819. It went with that Freemason and it disappeared. That's why it was never ratified. After all, we do owe it to our children. If we are truly to rid this country of some major corruption, that would be a key step in the right direction. Just a thought or suggestion. Folks, take a look at this video, and if you like it, please share the video. Thank you very much.